Hello, beautiful sign of Cancer. These are going to be your messages for the next 2 or 3 months. Even though they're coming up in July, the time is the period of what this message represents is going to be probably July, August, and September-ish. So if this doesn't make sense to you right away, do listen to it sometime down the road, because I feel 95% of those of you who are listening to this at some point will make sense of all of this by the end of this year. I am actually quite excited about the feeling that I have with your energy, because the way I feel right now as I am being you, I feel a sense of purpose, sense of excitement, and sense of a new beginning building within me, which at the same time creates slightly a feeling of, let's call it a little bit of an anxiety or anxiousness. Now, anxiousness is something that generally we feel when we are anticipating something. So for those of you who are meant to hear this, you are in a process of anticipation of your new beginning. Your new beginning is about to start. How you retrieve it or how you approach it is a matter of your own understanding based on who you are and if you are true to yourself. That was a long statement and I haven't registered yet. So I'm going to have to trust that you guys are going to make sense of it, and I'll listen to it later and make sense of it. In other words, okay, I'm going to ask them to shorten the version for me. In other words, they're saying, tell them to trust their intuition. There is no question in my mind that majority of you are going through what I would consider an end of a cycle, which means changing job positions, turning a milestone in your life, shedding your old skin, moving on from a certain type of a relationship. You guys get the picture. So this is not about, a choice. What coffee am I going to get tomorrow at Starbucks? This is for a lot of you, it's a life choice, life type choice, which is usually something around relationships, health, move, homes, jobs, things that bring us solidity and stability. And, let me just continue. So there's a sense of purpose that I feel with you, and particularly they're showing me a period of 3 months. For some of you, whatever this is that I'm discussing right now is connecting to the month of around March and April. Perhaps something has transpired in March and April, not necessarily this year, it might be last year, that has catapulted you or pushed you forward, so to speak. And as a result, you are going through a change. And I asked for a stone for you, and I heard zebra jasper, and I went, there is no zebra jasper. So I've heard of Jasper. It has been suggested on few videos, except each one was a different Jasper. And so when I heard zebra jasper, am I making this up? So I go, look at zebra. Is there a stone called zebra jasper? Well, lo and behold, there is. And when I looked at it, I kind of took a double look. And as I'm saying this to you right now, I'm realizing that the purpose of this was for me to learn how to believe in myself, to learn how to trust what I receive. This is my job. I do this for a living. This is how I sustain my life. So if I am not able to fully trust in myself, I will not be able to fully let out my abilities in a way that will be of benefit or help to you, which is one of the greatest things that I'm here and honored to be a part of, is to be a part of someone else's incredible change. So I don't know how I got on that, but I think they're trying to talk about you having trust and belief in yourself for the next part of your journey is indeed a new and a fresh one, which means many of you are and will be moving towards some things in your life where there will be unfamiliar relationships, unfamiliar way of doing things, unfamiliar cities or towns, unfamiliar jobs, unfamiliar people around you who are your coworkers. You get the picture. And how you present yourself to the world is how the world will come to you. In other words, if you present yourself to the world as someone who is inadequate, then life will present itself to you in terms of inadequacy. Therefore, you are more likely than not, attract things that you are not fond of. In other words, sometimes the very thing we want, we are afraid of, and the very thing we actually get is the one that we don't want, but we get it because it makes us feel safe and consistent. So if this wasn't a chat about change, I don't know what is. And needless to say, change is oftentimes not very comfortable. When you change a pair of shoes from one pair to a new pair, sometimes it can feel a little bit tight and uncomfortable. Do you throw away those shoes right away and deem them as useless? No, you expect that this is part of buying new shoes, and sometimes they fit like a glove, and sometimes they need a little bit of massage. And it is that massage that requires tremendous patience, because without the massage, the skin cannot stretch. And I'm going, what does that mean? And then I'm getting the feeling that if you're meant to get this, it is a big ass metaphor. If you're meant to get this, you will understand it. Okay, patience is required anytime we go through changes and transitions, and patience is usually the thing we have the least of, not the most, because generally when we are going through changes, it is a process where things are uncomfortable. We want to get through it as fast as we can in order to get to the other side. But the problem here is that the other side is a representation of the choices you make. In other words, each and every step of your journey is critically important to you to arrive at the destination that you want. That's a mouthful. What do I do with that? In other words, know where you're going, commit yourself to it, but don't try and figure out how or when. Whoa, that's a big one. And again, that requires trust. So I'm not even talking about the cards, but this is just flowing, and I feel it's absolutely freaking beautiful. So I would invite you to look at Zebra Jasper. That will give you more information about perhaps what you need to work on in your life right now. But I will, there's a quick glance here. One of the first things that I see that comes up about Zebra Jasper is it's the ability to balance the energy of the yin and yang, or masculine and feminine. So chances are pretty high that you are feeling out of balance for whatever reason, because you have been emotionally drained, because you have been mentally drained, because you have been physically drained. You guys, we all know what balance is, and balance isn't necessarily 50-50. Balance could be different things to different people. Point is that the stone is being drawn to you energetically to symbolize a need for greater balance, and balance from without comes from balance from within. In other words, how balanced you feel inside, that is how life will present itself to you. So beautiful, beautiful message. The other thing that it says here is that Jasper is the anti-apathy stone. So if you have been feeling pessimistic, if you have been feeling like, oh my God, I'm done. If you have been feeling like, what's the point? I'm just going to throw in the towel. The stone comes in to help and lift you off of that way of looking at things. And some may call it depression, some may call it feeling blue, some may call it just feeling negative. Whatever it is, I'm being asked to say that this stone, like many others, apparently most, have the ability to absorb some of that lower vibration frequency and transmute it into something that can be used and reused for something later. So in other words, the stone has the ability to transform this energy out away from you and into something else. And I'm going, how does that happen? And I'm hearing everything is energetic. Everything we touch, we affect. Everything touches us, affects us. Now, we may not see this immediate effect on us, but on an energetic level, it absolutely is the case, because at the end of the day, we're like wires connected all together, every single one of us. We are part of the one, and oneness is connection to all that is. So although we cannot physically see that we are connected to all that is, and that our actions affect everything around us, that does not mean that it does not exist. Just like energy, it doesn't have a cutoff point. Energy is infinite, so it touches everything in its path. Which is, thank you, the saying is also very symbolic on saying, don't forget that you have power. How you are power. You are essentially a being of vibration. You vibrate, you are light. So if you ever wonder if you've lost your power, or if you ever think that somebody has taken your power, it is impossible. Power cannot be taken away from you. You are it. It's not a piece of you. You are it. Wow, that is strong. I don't know if you guys can feel it, but it is freaking amazing. And then I just heard, I told you it was going to be a party. Oh my God, that's so funny. For those of you who feel that spirit is just very stoic, it is not the case. Universe has a fucking sense of humor. Pardon my French. Oh. All right, get yourself Zebra Jasper, okay? Look at it, read about it. It'll give you more information. You will know intuitively what to do with it. It's a fantastic stone for change. Thank you. So the other thing that I was getting about you is that you are moving on. That's so funny. You are moving on, and you are unanchoring yourself from something that had you stuck. More than anything, this is symbolic to me for how you feel about yourself. In other words, your belief system. Everything is based on our belief system. What we believe is what we create. But I'm trying to open it up. What's the belief system? Essentially, the belief system is rooted somewhere in I am not good enough. So whatever limitation you have had, you have put on yourself, or others have put on you, and you decided to own it. Whatever that has been or is for you, particularly when it comes to finances, the ability to create and sustain the life that you want, partnerships on every level, particularly those that are balanced, caring and giving, and also health that is strong and well maintained. So I guess those are the things. That pretty much covers everything in life. So any sort of limitation around I am not good enough for whatever reason will absolutely make you feel like you're dragging your feet, or life is dragging you down, and somehow you just can't seem to get a break. Well, have I got news for you? And this is, again, just like in the other videos, I've made some pretty strong comments that I almost feel uncomfortable with, because it is big. And the message that wants to come through to me, to you, is you are about to move past your limitations, and that is not so small. I hope maybe you can see the excitement, but it is, to me, I feel like I just want to jump out of my skin. That is monumental. Now, it's not going to happen like this. It is not a switch generally that goes off unless one has a pretty, how can I word this? Not necessarily traumatic, but by pretty impactful experience that awakens one to the truth of consciousness. And usually these things happen with like near-death experiences, where you leave your body and you're conscious of it, or you experience through meditation some sort of awakening where you find yourself literally having left this earth or this dimension and go somewhere else. Generally, these are the things that precede the consciousness. So with some of the ones that I mentioned, you don't want to be in that position, which also means the change that you're going to, or essentially the shift in your frequency, takes time. months and years, as a matter of fact. That's why you will find that your transformation isn't just a week or two. It goes for a prolonged period of time. Usually what I'm hearing is sometimes it's 2 to 3 years, sometimes it's longer, but there is a sustained period of time where you are transitioning out of one thing and into something else. During that transition, energetically, you are shifting and changing, and at the end of that transition, say 2 or 3 years, you look back and there are moments where you say to yourself, I don't recognize myself. So every day you may not see it, but I bet you if you were to look back at your life right now, 2 to 3 years ago, or 2 to 5 years ago, you look at yourself very differently. That's because it's called life. The difference between that and now is that the effects of the change, you will be feeling much stronger, which means you may go through a whole bunch of hurdles, all seemingly at once, just to move on and get it over with and get past it. So you probably know, and you felt it, I feel it, that it feels like time has doubled up in speed. It's moving on really fast. And I'm being okay, this is something I don't know. And what this essentially means that we are energetically progressing. We are beginning to vibrate much faster. Therefore, it seems like time is moving faster. I've never heard this, so I'm just a messenger. And then I'm hearing, you don't trust it again, do you? Well, I guess, I don't know. So here is humor for you. But actually, that's I don't know if this is true. So I'm going to have to, actually, no, I'm going to trust it's true unless it's I see otherwise. So if that made sense to you, please do let me know, comment down below. Wow, we're already at 16 minutes, 16 and 16. So powerful numbers, 1616. 1 is new beginning, 6 is harmony. Harmony is the same essentially as saying balance. So there is absolutely new beginnings for majority of you over the next little while that will bring you to a place of much more sustained balance. I mean, we find pockets of time when we're balanced, but then more often than not, we're all over the place. If that's the case, then your norm is not balanced, and your norm is being all over the place. So this is kind of like switching teams. Where you're going is a place where most of the time you will feel balanced, and once in a while you'll feel all over the place. So those components are still there, but they're in the different order. Okay. Also, the number 7s, 1 and 6 is 7. To me, this always represents the message of enlightenment. And again, we are all moving into, let's call it more enlightenment, greater awareness. Everyone goes at their own speed and everybody is on their own journey. So essentially everyone is experiencing enlightenment. But what this means for you is that over the next little while, the movement may feel or may seem to be very fast. And emotionally that may have its effect on you, which means if you are someone who is highly anxious, you might experience a lot of anxiety because a lot of changes are happening. Now, as I'm saying this, some of you are getting a little bit triggered because you hear the word changes and you think it's something bad. Never said that. You could be changing homes and moving to a fabulous opportunity, a fabulous new apartment, or a fabulous new home, but the act of you moving and packing and moving boxes and the blah blah blah, that may make you feel more anxious. So it's not anxious because it's bad, it's actually anxious because it's good. But when you're so anxious, even though it's good, you don't have as much access to your resources. In other words, your intuition may be screaming and yelling at you, but you will not be able to hear it. Therefore, it is very important that you take time out for yourself as much as you can. And you can use the analogy being selfish, but I don't like that word. I'm going to use the analogy for you. Begin to be more selfless towards yourself, right? Because we're all taught to be selfless to others, but when are we ever taught to be selfless to ourselves? So even the wording, changing the wording will make you feel differently about making the choice to making time for yourself. I haven't even looked at the cards, and I don't know if I will. I'll say a few things, but this is how it wants to come out. So the number 0, brand new beginning, was shown to me, and the number 10. So number 10 is completion. Already said that. You are at a completion in order so that you can have a new beginning. And that can mean starting something new, expressing something out of you that is different, coming into a new awareness about your relationship, and therefore making a choice or change or a decision. Coming to a point of your life when you're realizing that what you're doing right now doesn't have any juice in it, or doesn't give you any juice, and it actually makes you draws your energy out. So it's time to make a change and time to make a movement, and that requires you to make a commitment to yourself first and foremost, which means unless you feel and believe that you are important, you will not put the time and effort required in order for you to get what you want. And resistance naturally sets in when we are in a process of movement, because movement signifies change. Ego is not very fond of change unless it has all the details in front of its eyes that says, yes, safe, 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 safe. Life isn't really that way, right? So taking time for yourself is extremely important. Letting go of certain things, letting go of belief system, that's pretty standard with this message, so I'm not going to go into it, but that was indicated. And however, the letting go is either through knowledge, or as you are letting go, you are gaining new awareness and new knowledge. The more mundane message here is that some of you may take up some courses that you originally intended at some time ago but never got around to it, or decided, or something that was much more marketable or much more realistic. So you may pick up some education, formal or otherwise, about certain things that you have forgotten about or put aside. For others of you, this is literally gaining awareness by going through your transition and realizing that the things that you have been holding on to so tight don't really exist. Usually this signifies some fears, particularly around relationships. And then I heard the message, learn something new. So that message, who do I want to give this to? So obviously, learn something new is about curiosity. If you are curious, your fire is constantly running and burning. If your curiosity if you don't nurture your curiosity, you begin to lose zest for life. So if you have been feeling ho-hum in whatever area of your life, then you have to ask yourself this question: how did I get to that point, and why did I stay there? And for some of you, for so long. And chances is that you were hoping for something better, but you really deep inside don't believe it. And that was, I think, the message at the very beginning. And if there is something that you want but don't truly believe it can exist for you, the chances are very high it's going to be very difficult for you to achieve it. A. B, when you do get it, you're going to look at it and you're going to say, no, you're not part of my truth. Sorry, out. In other words, it's called self-sabotage. So looking at those aspects of you that have been holding you back, in whatever aspect of life, you are transitioning to being a new human, except that new human is the human you have always been, except is the part of you is the human that you have forgot. In other words, you are more than you will ever realize. And I'm being asked to say each and every one of you, us, is more brilliant than any diamonds that shine the brightest. That's a beautiful metaphor. We do not see that light because we limit our life by our fears, our beliefs, and our limitations. Those limitations come from others, our environments, and then they come from us. The more we believe or feed those limitations, the more we remain in the darkness. And where there is darkness, there is no light. In other words, it's very difficult to see past it. I'm going to let you chew on that. Okay? Do I want to go through some cards? Very briefly. Shift of paradigm, pretty straightforward. You're shifting. It was all the info I talked about. And 6th number, again, it's about balance, harmony. If I was to say any more specifics, what you're getting rid of is holding on to things for the fear of losing it. being stuck in the past through a disappointment, somebody has hurt you, having lost something emotionally, having been abandoned, having felt alone or isolated, any sort of feelings of not being in control of your own life and your own actions, and instead feeling like life is in control of you. Those are the things that you are transforming. And each of those statements will apply different ways in different aspects of your life. The cosmic egg is, this is an alchemical symbol for spirit. This is on a spiritual level. You are coming to a completion. You know, see, this egg has all the colors of the rainbow, which means you have gone through all the lessons. It's time now to move past it. And snake here represents your raw power. This snake is encasing that egg. And I'm trying to feel what the snake is doing. Oh, interesting. It's protecting the egg. What is it protecting it from? Well, it's knowledge and it's wisdom. Having gone through all these experiences as a soul, you have gained tremendous amount of wisdom. And when wisdom comes with knowledge experienced, and no one can ever take away no one can ever take this away from you, whether it's in life or in the spirit world. So the takeaway message from this is, look back in order to learn from your experience, not to look at them merely as a mistake or something having gone wrong. Because if you choose to look at it in that way, you are missing enormous opportunities of realizing who you truly are, and you are a pure creator. Okay? So again, this is another way of saying we are moving past your limitations. Limitations is your limitations is also what is part of your identity. So when you shed aspects of identity, it feels a little strange. It feels like something is missing. It feels like there's a hole and you're trying to fill it, usually with junk, sex, drugs, rock and roll, alcohol, whatever you want to name it. Bad relationships, bad decisions. However, the period of time passes where you get used to that feeling and then it becomes the norm. However, at the beginning, there is a tendency to want to go back to what always was, because this missing piece feels unfamiliar, and therefore because it's unfamiliar, it's scary. So watch out for that, okay? Is there anything else I want to say? No, I think I've covered it. Keep in mind, this is not only July, but also July, August, September, or thereabouts. Do listen to it on a couple of occasions. I promise this is going to make sense to majority of you. Please comment how this connects with you. If you would like me to help you figure out your particular journey, that information is down below. I wish you best of luck. Take care of yourself. Take time for yourself. Deem yourself as important, acknowledge it, and then own it. And I look forward to seeing you shortly or in the next video. Talk to you soon.